Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Salazar, and welcome to this next edition of Now at Netgear. I'm here with John McHugh, our Senior Vice President and General Manager of Small Medium Business. John, thanks for taking the time to join us today.
I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah, sounds good. So today we're going to talk about Power over Ethernet, or short, PoE for short. So if you can talk to us a little bit about what Power over Ethernet is and how important it is to the industry.
Well, this is one of those rare cases where it is exactly what it sounds like. It's simply the ability for a network device to be able to push power through an Ethernet cable. You know, your typical Cat5 or Cat6 cabling, and comes in various power levels, comes in various form factors, and it can be used to power all sorts of devices.
Yeah, sounds good. And especially with our changing technology, there's always a million devices, different types of devices. So it's great that you're able to power it through Ethernet. Through your time in working in this industry, how has Power over Ethernet changed?
You know, that's a great question. It's interesting that the IEEE standard, which was originally kind of formalized just around 2001, 2000 or so, has evolved to higher and higher levels of power. And all of it's interoperable, and it has just given customers more and more future-proofing to deploy higher and higher power devices. The only gotcha, in fairness, has been companies that have put out products like things called passive PoE, which don't meet the standards, in fact, can actually damage network equipment. And so as long as customers just stick with and make sure that they never buy a product from companies that are doing non-standard PoE, it means that they can deal with all the devices that are out there that are compatible.
Yeah, sounds good. So key takeaway, number one, definitely buy PoE from Netgear. So because we stick within those standards, so that's good.
Well, yeah, but let me go with that, is that, you know, Netgear recognizes the value of PoE. And so our offering of switches is as wide as any of the vendors in the industry. So how much power do you want? How many ports on the switch do you need? The various power levels within PoE, not just the power supply level. We really have the widest selection and should be the first stop for anyone looking for a PoE source.
Yeah, which is interesting. So you mentioned ports. So what's our range of ports that we have on our switches, starting from X amount to the top amount? What's the range? That
and it's not just ports. Our most inexpensive 5-port switch, unmanaged, supports PoE. We're one of the only companies out there, I think maybe still the only one, who has an unmanaged PoE device, but it's smart enough to know to power, but you don't have to do any configuration. There's no technical stuff to worry about. You just put your device on there and it powers it up. All the way up to, we have ones that have more than 1,000 watts of PoE power over 96 ports, fully managed, high-end, used for video applications and things like that. Yeah. So complete range of offers.
Oh, that's definitely awesome. So here at Netgear, we're focused on technology inflections. PoE is one of those. So why or how is PoE such a big game changer, in your opinion?
Yeah, you know, the reason that people need to know about PoE and consider it when they're doing various technology deployments is the Internet of Things, right? The Internet of Things is creating all of these new devices, which are game changers unto themselves in changing our life, changing the way that we can interact with our house when we're not there, the way that the smart systems around us, from thermostats to lights, adapt and make intelligent choices. Well, there's 3 ways that those Internet of Things devices can get power. One of them is a battery. And batteries are nice because you can put it in a corner and leave it there until the battery runs out. And that's a problem if you're constantly having to recharge or change batteries. The other way is you can plug it into a wall outlet, which is great if there's a wall outlet around. But there's a lot of places where you want to put these things, and it's expensive. You're knocking holes in your wall or running conduit to try to get a wall outlet. And that's why PoE is the perfect marriage for Internet of Things appliances and devices, because they can talk back to the internet and offer up kind of what they're supposed to be in charge of. And at the same time, they get continuous power. If your network's up, your devices are up. Right. It's that simple.
Yeah. And you talked about unmanaged versus managed. So you talked about the unmanaged solution. It's still smart enough. But there are those consumers and businesses who want to look at their network or who want to monitor, who want to manage it. So talk a little bit about our Insight managed solutions and how that's impactful for Power over Ethernet and the rest of our small, medium business products here at Netgear.
And that's the thing that really stimulated us to go off and create this brand new management architecture, which is got tremendous ease of use, and it's much more of a natural way to interact and to configure your network devices. But the most important thing about Insight, the breakthrough that it has that other management architectures don't, is it naturally connects to your devices through the cloud. Remember what I just said about what you're supporting with this PoE ecosystem. You're supporting all of your Internet of Things, sensors, remote devices, and all the stuff that you care about and needs to be up and running, and you need to be able to make sure that if anything goes wrong, that you can get it fixed and get corrected wherever you are in the world. Right. Well, Insight obviously is the perfect marriage of that management capability with the actual ecosystem that you're trying to support.
Right. And when you think about it, if there's a million different smart home or smart business devices, that means chances are there's probably a million different interfaces or apps that you'll have to download to use. But with Insight, we bring it all together. So
that's right.
When you talk about marriage, it is really about bringing it together. And that's what's so powerful and great about it. So thinking about Power over Ethernet, we actually have some of our products here. But what excites you the most if we're looking at our small, medium business, either technology inflection points that we're leading towards, or a product line or services? What is something when you wake up, you're like, yes, I love this about Netgear and I want to continue it, and it is the game changer for the world, not just for what we're doing today.
There's a couple of things on this particular topic that are really interesting. One is power levels in PoE continue to go up and up. A standard has just been finalized to take it to 60 watts per device and even 90 watts per device. So now the range of things that don't need to worry about where they're getting power from if they're connected to a network is expanded vastly. What are those kind of things? And that's the next thing that's exciting about this. Now you're enabling access points. 11AX, or what's called Wi-Fi 6, right? Those access points consume huge amounts of power, more than 30 watt power. And so they need these new PoE standards to be supported with those kind of connections. So things like that, pan, tilt, swivel, HD, 4K cameras, people want the best quality surveillance solutions. They need this much power to be able to enable those devices as well. Another cool thing is the controllability. So one of the things we designed into our switches and into our Insight managed devices in particular is PoE scheduling. So the ability for you to actually make intelligent choices about how much power each of these devices use, how do you budget it, maybe even time of day when you can turn it on and turn it off.
All about energy efficiency too.
Yeah, well, energy efficiency is absolutely part of that ecosystem. But think of it as, let's say you're a small business and you have a guest Wi-Fi. And you're worried about the fact that when you're not there at the work site at night, people come sit in the parking lot and they steal your guest Wi-Fi. They do, God knows what they're doing out there. With this, you can just program a simple utility that turns off all your access points after work hours.
Right.
So it's not like someone could even hack in if they even wanted to, or if they stole your guest ID, whatever. There's no way to get into the network until it turns back on automatically first thing in the morning for you.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah. And it really gives all the power in the hands of the business owner to do exactly what they want.
Yeah, exactly.
And when they want, which is important. Right time, definitely key there. You talked about the 60 and 90 watt. What are some examples of some of the devices that would utilize that 90 watt power?
Yeah, that's, like I said, the one I threw out there, pan, tilt, swivel cameras, where you've got a motor that's actually trying to look at various things. But even when you start getting into HD and 4K cameras, the consumption's really high. As I said, the new Wi-Fi standards coming are awesome. These new Wi-Fi access points are awesome about being able to bring all sorts of devices together, but they do require more power. And another one that's coming up is lights. More and more people are doing lighting projects. They're using low power LED. Interestingly enough, a lot of those low power LED devices, which can change your whole lighting ecosystem in your business or your house, they each require a transformer to talk to the alternating current in the wall, right, the power, the typical power. If you can use PoE for those, you eliminate all the transformers, right? So a small business which has 30 lights would have 30 of those inefficient transformers. Instead, you home them back to one really healthy power supply, which happens to be your Ethernet switch, and you're good to go.
Yeah, so the maintenance and overall, if there's an issue too, it streamlines that. If there ever is a problem, and you can tell right away if there is a problem, especially if you have insight, you can direct it right away and kind of manage it from there. So that's great. Power over Ethernet. So what are you mentioned some of the use cases, but what are some use cases that you've seen in the industry that are really exciting, or that maybe we're not quite there yet, and you would love for PoE to one day get there? That would be tremendous, tremendous good use of PoE.
Well, it is fun to go out there and meet with customers and see what people do, especially people that are kind of network junkies and they love to throw networking solutions at problems. There was one individual who worked at a construction company, and his job was construction site safety and security. And so you think about this, when you start a construction site, there's a couple of weeks where it's tractors rolling around and nothing but dirt. Right. And then you get a power pole in the edge of the site and everybody working, right? And there's no way to actually build any infrastructure or whatever. They love wireless. They love things that run off of generators. They love stuff that's really self-contained and standalone. He created his own little network platform where he could put security cameras around their site and home it back. They're all PoE driven, homed it back to a single switch, a single LTE bridge, and boom. Awesome. He's got wireless, he's got the ability to monitor his site 24/7, and all he required was one AC plug to go into their power pole connection, and he's good to go and nonstop.
Definitely, and there's construction everywhere, but he doesn't even have to be in the remote city. He can be across the world.
That's
if
right.
He needed to be, or on the beach in Hawaii. Either one, right?
Yep.
He could be doing either one of those. So that's good. So if there's before we close out, is there one thing about our Netgear small medium business during your time that you've been here that you're proud of and that you're really looking forward to us in 2019? As we finish off the year?
You know what Netgear has stood for in the commercial networking business specifically since it was created,
right?
20 plus years ago. It's this user experience. Yeah. It's about making networking accessible to the most sophisticated people, to the most simple applications and implementations. And so what Insight's really cool because it is the next generation of user experience and kind of re-upping the game about how to make a network be able to support the applications you need for your business without you having to become a certified network engineer.
Right. Yep, definitely. Netgear. So Netgear Insight is definitely a hot topic here. And speaking of hot, we're going to put John on the hot seat today. So basically, John, what we're going to do is I'm going to name a few words or phrases, and in 30 seconds, we got to go through this whole list, and you got to name the first thing that comes on top of mind.
This is scary.
All right, let's see. All right, so the first thing, Netgear business.
Insight.
Actually, we had to put 30 seconds on the clock, so we're going to put 30 seconds on the clock. I'm going to think of another one, but before this. So you got your first taste. You got a nice little taste of this. All right, so 30 seconds on the clock. Next one, Pro AV.
4K high def.
IoT.
Sensors.
Favorite restaurant in downtown San Jose.
Wow. Wow. I don't think I have one.
Really putting it. Okay. What about favorite cuisine?
Indian?
Okay, cool. Yellow or green or orange curry?
I'm a green curry guy.
Okay, all right, sounds good. Going green?
Plants.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Power over Ethernet?
Everything.
All right, sounds good. You heard it from John. All right, well, thank you very much, John. I appreciate your time here. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to Now at Netgear. Please make sure to subscribe on YouTube and add any comments.